Recording in progress.
To remind us all to speak into the microphone with the green light on. Should be fairly straightforward. Ready, everybody? Can't wait, I'm sure. Wow, huge crowd tonight. I will open the May 15th, 2025 meeting of the Los Altos Planning Commission. Taylor, could you please establish a quorum?
Commissioner Ahi,
Here.
Commissioner Mensinger,
Present.
Commissioner Steinle,
Here.
Vice Chair Roche,
Here.
Chair Beninado.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We will start with public comments for items not on the agenda. Are there any comment cards? Okay, then I won't read our standard disclaimer about all that stuff. And we will open and close the public comments section. Let's move on to the consent calendar. We have one item tonight, which is the minutes from the April 3rd meeting. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners or comments? All right, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have approval of the consent calendar, motion by
Roach.
Mr. Roche and seconded by Commissioner Mensinger. So I only heard the voice. I wasn't sure where it came from. Can we take a vote?
Commissioner Ahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Mensinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinle,
Yes.
Vice Chair Roche,
Yes.
Chair Beninado.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you. We will move on to our one public hearing of the night. Item 2, the general plan amendment, safety element, and natural environment and hazards element. First, we'll start with staff's oral report, which supplements the written report in the meeting packet. Then we'll move on to questions from the commissioners to staff or otherwise. And then after those questions, we'll receive public comment and move on to our discussion. So is Sean presenting this?
Yes.
All right, take it away, Sean.
Good evening, Chair Beninado and Commissioners. Tonight's item is proposed general plan amendment with two parts: adoption of a new safety element to align city policies with state law, address emerging hazards, and incorporate community input. A revision of a natural environment and hazards element to retain only the existing noise and air quality sections. We're requesting your recommendation for adoption this evening. Go. Okay. I'll begin by giving an overview of the safety element and why this update is necessary. I'll walk through the legal context, key content updates, and the community engagement process. And finally, I'll outline the next steps towards adoption. The safety element is one of the 7 required elements of the general plan and outlines the city's plans for risks like earthquakes, floods, wildfires, and including strategies for climate adaptation. It is required by state law under Governmental Code 65302G and provides high-level policy direction. While it identifies key risks and policy priorities, it's important to note the safety element is not an implementation document. It does not authorize specific projects or regulations. We're required to update the safety element with each housing element cycle per SB 1035. The update also aligns with Senate Bill 379 and AB 747 and incorporates updated hazard mapping, risk assessments, and climate adaptation strategies. Regular updates like this keep our policies current and responsive and changing to conditions and community needs. The safety element covers key risks in Los Altos, including earthquakes, wildfires, flooding, hazardous materials, emergency response for a few. It also adds climate-related hazards like extreme heat, poor air quality, and drought. Each hazard is assessed for risk, vulnerable populations, and mitigation strategies to guide the community. Community input has been central to this process. The city launched an online survey during the summer of 2024, received 82 responses, which helped us understand public concerns and priorities. The city had 2 community workshops in August of 2024 and also in November of 2024. Survey respondents identified climate change, power outages, drought, and extreme heat as top safety concerns. They called for clear evacuation procedures, better communication, and the creation of resilience hubs like cooling centers. Public education and land use strategies to reduce hazard exposure were also key priorities. These themes were reinforced in community workshops and directly informed safety element policies on public education, climate adaptation, and hazard mitigation. The safety element is organized into goals, policies, and actions. Each goal sets a long-term safety objective, like reducing wildfire risk or improving emergency response. Policies guide decisions, and actions outline practical steps or initiatives the city can take to support those policies over time. This update aligns with the city's general plan and integrates related documents, including the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, Emergency Operation Plan, and the Santa Clara County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. This ensures consistency, avoids policy conflicts, supports coordinated hazard mitigation and emergency response efforts. The update is exempt from CEQA under Section 15060C2 and 15060B3 as it involves policy changes only and no physical development. As part of this general plan amendment, we're revising the natural environment and hazards element. With the safety element now in a standalone element, this section focuses again only on noise and air quality. The element, its format, policies, and actions remain unchanged and continues to meet the state's planning requirements. If the commission recommends adoption of the resolution, the city council will consider adopting the updated safety element at a future public hearing. Once adopted, it will be incorporated into the general plan. This concludes staff's presentation. Unless there are any questions, and staff and the city's consultant are available for questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Are there any commissioner questions or clarifications? Okay. Commissioner Steinle.
I do have 2 questions just to prove I read it all. First, there's a reference at the beginning on the second page to a flood insurance study for the city of Los Altos dated July 16, 1980, which is a bunch of years ago. I guess the question is there anything more recent that's been done about that? And secondly, what exactly does that study tell us? I mean, because there's just a reference to it, and I'm not sure. I mean, in the flood insurance study.
We did do that. We did that when we did our FEMA ordinance for flood.
Was that redone?
Yeah. We can have our consultant speak to that particular
yeah.
question. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
Yes, if you could.
So those were the firm maps that were in the city ordinance, but we can do a double check to make sure that there's nothing more recent than that. But from the ordinance that's officially adopted, that was the latest study that was cited.
Okay, and what does that study tell us? I mean, what's
That
it-
is so that's the FEMA flood insurance rate map, so short for FIRM, that essentially establishes the 100-year and 500-year flood
No,
plains.
no, I understand what the rate map does. What I'm referring to is that 1980 study that sounds like something the city may have commissioned, or under what auspices was that done? 'Cause
No,
anytime you do something that's 45 years old and you're talking about insurance, things may have changed.
Definitely. So that was the flood insurance study is what was cited in the code, which is why it's there. For full disclosure, some of the flood insurance rate maps are referring to data that is quite old. As of right now, FEMA is going through a comprehensive update of the flood insurance studies and the flood insurance rate maps. They have not reached Northern California yet. They've started in Washington State and are trickling down. So
Right,
at one point, that study will be updated.
Okay, so because this, that I wondered about that. Okay, so that's something that's going to be in process eventually, perhaps.
Yes, definitely.
If not this cycle, the next cycle.
Correct.
Okay, and I had one other question, which you don't have to look anything up, but you can probably tell us. There's a chart on page 37 which has to do with damage, and it has to do with
The hazard risk index.
the various hazards, droughts, and that sort of thing, plagues of locusts, etc. And I was curious because it doesn't explain this anywhere that I saw, and I wasn't sure which is worse, extensive or significant.
Extensive is worse than
Extensive
significant.
is the worst possible.
Yes,
Okay.
then minimal, then negligible.
Right. No, I figured the ones on the bottom end. It wasn't clear to me from the context whether extensive was worse than significant or significant was worse than extensive. So I just wanted to clarify that. Those are my questions. And
Sounds
then I do have some other things which are going to be coming that aren't important. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Maris, any?
Yeah, I had a quick question. The projected future noise sources, that figure is basically based on this year. I'm just curious, how accurate is that diagram? And is that just a projection that's in the packet?
Are you referring to the natural environments and hazards element?
Yes.
Okay, so this element we actually did not conduct an update to. So
Okay.
our scope and coordination was strictly on the safety element component. So I won't speak for city staff, but I do believe that element is going to be updated at a later date
Okay.
to be current.
Yeah, the intention behind providing that element was to strip out the safety element portions of it, but retain the existing original document from 2002. In a future general plan update, those elements will be updated, or
I see.
at least one of the elements per the criteria from the state will be updated.
Okay, got it. Okay, those are all my questions.
Just on the noise, Sean, you might recall a discussion we had many years ago about generators and other equipment. So that noise element mostly spoke about like road noise and environmental noise, as opposed to air conditioners and pool equipment. So is that where is that covered? The elements from air conditioners and other equipment.
I mean, generally, it should be covered in the noise element, but that'll be part of a future update on the general plan that may be coming to in the future. But
Okay.
what's within the document is what was, in regards to the formatting, it's the same to 2002. All of the language is unaltered, and all of the policies and other related actions are completely unaltered. They're the 2002 policies and actions.
So we'll come back and revisit the noise section at some point.
Yes.
Tonight, we're mainly focused on the first piece.
We're focused on the first piece, again, because the housing element, as part of the update, the law mandates updating the safety element, which was what triggered this to be updated first, directly after the housing element. And then all the other elements subsequently will be updated.
Okay. Last chance, anything? All right. I think we're concluded with questions from the commissioners. So We will now receive public comments on item 2. I assume there's nobody, since we have nobody in the audience, for those who can't see that. So we will open and close the public comment section, and then we'll move on to discussion. So start down here. Any discussion items? No? All right. I have a feeling there might be some on my right. Commissioner Steinle?
I just want to say, I really enjoyed reading this report, and I want to congratulate everybody that was involved. I mentioned this to them before the meeting, but I really think they did a great job, and I do believe that we owe them a vote of thanks for having prepared this so well. And so I just wanted to say, I actually had fun reading this.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I have a flood, and I have a wildfire, and I have a this. It's
Yeah.
great.
No, I hope that the rest of the elements are going to match this in the way that they're going. I really think that this is a great start, and so I just want to make sure that we say that. We don't say it nearly enough. And that's really all I have to say. I mean,
Wow.
well-
Okay.
Well, I will say that at the 2 outreach meetings, 2 public meetings, the public was Art Whipple and me. So,
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Steinle. Commissioner Ahi, any?
No, I thought that it was a really good report. I think the goals and the policies, I think, are very all-encompassing. So, yeah, there's nothing really I had a question on.
Great. The only comment I had, and I wanted to see if my fellow commissioners supported this, is when we do get to that noise element, I thought it was really silly that we could not put in an emergency generator for a very important, electric outage or wildfire or something else because of like a 24/7 noise requirement when it would only be used during emergencies when there was no power. So I'd love to look at that at some point when we get to that element about, an air conditioner is not the same as an emergency generator. And so, we should give some consideration to that because we ended up not being able to do anything with that regard. But other than that, I thought everything was excellent and a little scary to read about all the things coming to our area. But so I think anything on this side? No?
I do have one more question that occurred to me. It's just a quick yes or no, and I think Nick knows the answer to this because aren't you the liaison to the Environmental Commission? Okay. The CAAP, does that get updated, or is that, because it is a bit of a doorstop right now, and that's fine, but it's full of wonderful things. There's lots of meat on that bone. But is that something that they're going to be updating periodically, or is that a thing?
So not periodically per se. However, as a part of the comprehensive general plan element, the selected consultant will be tasked with looking at all of the city's adopted documents. So the climate action plan, the complete streets plan, in order to ensure that the general plan provides the hierarchy that's necessary for all of those implementing documents. So there very well could be implementation documents that need to be amended as well after the general plan. So yes, but not on a kind of dedicated basis.
Right, but it is likely to be brought up to date at some point. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The one thing I wanted to at least just mention, just since we're kind of flying through this item anyways, is that the reference to the 1980 adoption or the flood study is because that's when we actually established the floodplain administration section for the city. So we haven't had to update it previously, as the consultant did mention, is that FEMA is slow to obviously move on updating those maps, especially if you're not actually in like more of a coastal resource area.
Right.
Those maps get updated frequently, but not the inland jurisdiction. So we'll probably see something in the future.
If there is a FEMA.
All right. I will entertain a motion on tonight's session.
We're recommending that the council consider and adopt this. Is that correct? Okay, then I will move that we recommend the city council approve and adopt this.
And anything about CEQA?
Oh, and it's exempt from CEQA under the items that, from the guidelines that Sean cited.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Could we take roll?
Commissioner Ahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Mensinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinle,
Yes.
Vice Chair Roche,
Yes.
Chair Benato.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. We are on pace to break some records tonight. I'll combine commissioner reports and comments and potential future agenda items. I think we understand that Commissioner Disney resigned from the Planning Commission this week. And my request to staff and to the council is to, since we do have a quorum requirement of 4 on this body of 7, and we're down to 5 members, to do something about that, to get us some more members. So
Can I ask, the normal commissioner recruiting time is sort of August, September. Is there any talk about doing it earlier for the planning commission?
There wasn't for it, but that might change now given the reduction in membership.
because, one person on vacation and then everything has to be unanimous after that, so.
Well, and we do have to get 4 votes in any case to pass something. So
Yes,
that's
yes.
harder when there are only 5 of us.
So, all right, any other commissioner reports or future agenda items? Wow, quiet crew tonight. All right, at 6:22, I will adjourn the meeting. Wow,
Thank you all for staying.
yeah.
I can go back.
Why
to
did
my
I
bed.
shower?